BTSW speaks.
All right. Yes, okay. So we are now on part four. Part four of What Men Like, the series. Okay? And in this episode, we are talking about listening. Men like when you listen. Most men are not as talkative as I am. I feel like I have a lot of important things to say. So that's why I talk a lot. But some men don't talk as much. One thing we almost always have in common is that when we do talk, when we do speak, it's because we want you to listen. Even the crackheads you meet on the streets, the homeless people, everyone. You listen to a man talk, the least he wants you to do is listen to them. You have certain men that would like mumble under their breath and stuff. You don't necessarily have to listen to that. But if he speaks at a volume where you can hear him clearly, is because he wants you to. So if you can hear him, listen to him. If you don't remember anything else from this entire video, remember that if he speaks where you can hear him, he wants you to listen to him. Alright? Okay, so as you remember, between part 2 and part 3, you need to show that you are listening by first your silence. Remember when I was explaining what silence is? You being quiet. That means while he's talking, you don't talk and you don't interrupt him. There are so many examples. I even did a video with my girlfriend a few months back where I had a spoken word piece called Listen. Check that out. It's in the spoken word section, I think, on my YouTube page. Just check it out. Listen to the words. This is what men think about when they want their woman to listen, and the problems that they have when the woman doesn't listen. So you need to check that out if you don't get enough from this video. But what the main objective was from that video and this one is that the main problem with women is when they listen, or when they believe they're listening, they still have to respond. A lot of women would think, oh well, if I don't say what I have to say right when I say it, then I'll forget it. Excuse me? Whose fault is that? I'm sorry for being so harsh, but that sounds like a you problem. If you want me to speak, you have to stop. We can't both talk at the same time. If you want me to say what I have to say, you have to stop saying stuff. Stop talking. We gotta say it in the islands. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it says the reason why you got 2 ears and 1 mouth is because you gotta listen twice as much as you speak. That's the thing. Like, you can't teach yourself what you already know. And if you're trying to get to know your partner, you need to let them tell you, hey, well, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I like to do for a living, and this is how I think and spend my quality time, and all these things for leisure and all that. To get to know them, you gotta talk to them, and by talk to them, you gotta let them talk to you. Talk to you while you sit there in silence. I can't stress enough just how important silence is when it comes to listening on your part, ladies. The person that's supposed to be listening supposed to be quiet. I mean, when you listen to an audiobook or anyone speaking a voice note, anything like that, especially a voice note actually, you are dead silent. At least your mouth is, because you need to hear what that person is saying, and you can't interrupt them. You could pause it, but obviously they can't respond to what you say immediately, so you have no choice but to listen to them uninterrupted and let them say what they have to say. So listen to the man as if he's saying a voice note. Wait for him to finish. You gotta train yourself to wait for him to finish before you come with your rebuttal or your reactions, your responses. And when you do come with your responses, that moves on to part 3 of the series. That's when you actually communicate. Remember everything I told you in the communication video? Well, this is where you actually communicate, and how you communicate is what will show him whether or not you was listening to him in the first place. Now remember, this is what men like. This ain't about you. This is about you knowing what men like. This is what men like. They like when you listen, and they like when you show that you're listening. And how do you show when you're listening? By first being silent and then talk and communicate to him based on what he said, how you feel about it and what you think and all that. Okay? So the other thing is you have to come through for the win. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be like a ride or die. You have to know my goals, my objectives, you know? Even if we're not in a relationship, just me being your friend, you have to know what I'm about and what I'm planning on doing. Now, my gospel truth is that a man ain't a man unless that man got a plan. This was told to me by my father a long time ago, and I believe it to this day. That a man ain't a man unless he got a plan. That's what my daddy said, and I understand that that's what it is. Okay, you gotta have a plan, and when you have that plan, only people that you trust and who actually will listen to you would you speak that plan to. So if he's telling you about his plan and his goals and all that stuff, you need to listen to that too, and you need to be able to contribute. If you can, contribute, and if you can't, support him. Just support him. But you need to know what you're supporting. You need to know if you agree with what he is doing in life and all of that. And in order to do that, you need to listen when he actually tells you these things. I mean, to know my goal is to listen out for what it is. Now, me, I'm simple when it comes to my intentions and my objectives. I tell you straight up, listen, this is what it is, okay? My mind is not necessarily jigsaw puzzle. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. I'll answer whatever question you gotta ask. But when women tend to ask questions, they don't really listen out for the answer. They only want to reply, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that your reply, your response isn't necessarily proportionate to what was said, which means you wasn't listening. So you always have to try and pay attention, make sure that you're listening. And a man's plan is very important to him, so you need to listen out for it and know what it is and be on your toes, because it might change. You know, just like how you might want a specific dinner, you might want lobster one night, and that might be your favorite meal. Some men might think of that as, oh, okay, so anytime she's hungry, I'll just get her some lobster. That's not the case. It might be your ultimate meal, might be your ultimate goal to just have lobster whenever you want, be able to afford it, and all of that, but it's not necessarily what you want all the time. What you want, you ladies, what you want changes. It confuses us men, but you know, we slowly getting to understand how it works. You understand? So what you want changes, and just like what you want changes, sometimes our goals, our plans, they change. So you have to ask, hey, what's your plan, man? What's the plan? And we'll tell you what the plan is. And sometimes the plan might be different today than it was yesterday, but you need to listen out for that. In order to know what it is, you need to listen out for it. And when you listen, when a man speaks, well, you know, that's what men like.